Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In this video, a crazy homeowner association tried to shut down a veteran's business and started a small war with him. The veteran then taught them a lesson they will never forget. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. The main story starts like this. Hey, I will start by saying my name is Justin and I am now an out-of-action war veteran, but that's not to say this story is not action-packed, so make sure you got a comfy chair because this is gonna be long. After almost a decade of active service, I plan to leave the military and move with my wife back to my hometown. Together we managed to buy a large house out on the coast in a nice neighborhood managed by the local HOA. Because I was serving my country overseas, I did not know much about these HOAs. I did not think they would be so bad, at first. I later came to realize just how bad, clique and political their mess is. The issues began not long after we moved in, with letters piling up about really minor things like leaving my boat on my driveway, which sucked, especially as we could not have been more than 100 yards from the water. Another odd one was that our grass was 2 millimeters too high, according to some local rule that all gardens had to be neat and uniform. I was annoyed but complied, taking my boat to a marina and cutting my grass more often. In our third year at the house, the next door neighbors moved out and an older couple called Karen and Tim replaced them. It was sad at first because they were really supportive when we first moved in. The new neighbors were not so bad though, because they let my kids use their pool and we would often hang out in the evenings and weekends. Unfortunately, everything changed after Karen decided to run for president of the HOA, which she later succeeded at. We were all happy at first, but then the changes began. For the next week, we noticed Karen walking around the streets, a few dozen front yards, as she wrote on her notepad. In some cases, she even invited herself into some people's backyards, much to their shock and annoyance. On her walks, she would often take a small disposable camera from the general store to take pictures of what she considered to be violations. After this initial strangeness, we quickly got used to her weird and invasive presence, assuming she was just taking her job at the HOA seriously. I came home one evening to find her on my back porch looking around and taking more pictures. I was a police officer at the time, so I knew a few things, and while I tried to be nice by informing her she could get into a lot of trouble for what she was doing, she rudely let me know that as the HOA president, she was entitled to go into people's private properties and even their houses to inspect them if need be. This led to a stronger argument of me informing her of my rights and laws against this, but all it managed to do was start a minor war. And here I was thinking that my days of active duty were over. We immediately started receiving fines from $100 and up for very minor issues they had supposedly found from my house and yard. I fixed the issues quickly enough that I never had to pay the damn fines in the end, but it didn't stop me filing complaints against the HOA property management company. Although in retrospect I know for sure the complaints were either lost before reaching them or tossed into the trash after reading that nothing ever changed. And then, just when I thought it could not get any worse, it happened. So I also used to own a small business which I needed a truck and trailer for. One eventful day I had this parked in front of the house, and in true Karen fashion I noticed her gawking around it with her camera. According to the rules of the HOA, it was not allowed to be there overnight, and even though it was on my driveway, I always moved it before the evening. Karen then had the audacity to get me towed in the middle of the night by her shady friend who runs a tow truck company. Despite this, I received a letter and a fine for $100 stating that I had left the vehicle there overnight. This time though, I had enough. I asked for a review with the HOA board of directors, the property management company, their attorney and my attorney. This was gonna cost all of these people a lot more than their petty $100 fines in time and money. At this meeting, I asked Karen, the HOA president, to present what evidence she had other than the one picture to prove that the vehicle was there overnight, ideally with timestamps as well. But of course she couldn't. I then asked for them to drop the unreasonable fines and violations against me, but they refused. I was publicly berated by the HOA president in front of the board, and their attorney said that I should be a good little soldier and do as I was told by the HOA to shut my mouth and obey the rules like everyone else. At this point, my attorney assured me that we now had enough evidence of harassment due to secretly recording the meeting with the HOA. As we were about to leave, I told everyone in the room that we had been recording them. This only fanned the flames of war, and they grew so aggravated that they threatened to call the police for violating the law. But being a soldier, I knew the law better, and in our state it was more than legal and well within our rights, so I was not too worried. Later that day, after a serious discussion with my wife and attorney, I called the HOA back to announce the lawsuit we were planning to raise against them, hoping to bring them down and bankrupt them in the process. According to state law and the HOA bylaws, in the event the HOA ceased to exist or became bankrupt, each and every one of the 35 houses the HOA managed would have their mortgages immediately due and payable. Although most people don't know this exists in a lot of HOA covenants. I guess you could consider this more of a bluff. I had very good friends in the neighborhood and didn't want to see their families affected, but it scared the HOA enough that they stopped their fines and Karen stopped her snooping. About a month later, the HOA started their elections for a new HOA board, and I informed several people across the neighborhood that I would be running for the HOA board president instead. On the night of the board election, we got together and all attended. There were about 10 people that showed up to vote. After giving our speeches, we raised our hands to count the total votes. There were 6 people along with myself who voted for me, but miraculously, the property management company ended up declaring it a unanimous vote in favor of the reigning HOA president. Outraged, I stood my ground and asked for my 6 neighbors to raise their hand higher so they could properly count. But the PM ignored it since their victory had already been recorded into the minutes of the meeting. At that point, I decided to let the public know about the ongoing fines and mistreatment I had been experiencing from the HOA, about the previous meeting, mortgages, suing the HOA, and now calling the State Attorney General's office. In an almost overnight change of pace, the property management company was changed out, the HOA president was replaced with a nice level-headed gentleman, and I never ever so much as heard a peep from the HOA ever again. I played by the rules more or less, but eventually sold the house and moved on. Moral of the story, never mess with a paratrooper. And here, ripe stars, as seasoned veterans of Reddit, we of course know you never mess with a veteran. That's one of the core principles that the HOA here clearly violated. Anyway, let's continue on to the next stories. Am I the jerk for possibly making my parents homeless? This is not just me, it includes my twin brother. My brother and I, 17 male, were an accidental pregnancy. For context, our oldest sibling is 37 and has a kid who goes to our high school. Our nearest sibling in age is 28. My parents always made it clear that we were not supposed to exist. They were never abusive or neglectful or anything, but they were kind of cold our whole childhood. My brother and I will graduate high school in about a week and will be 18 in 2 weeks. My parents have told us that as soon as we turn 18, we will have to pay rent. Neither of us have jobs and we probably won't be able to get jobs right now. I confided in my sister that I am really stressed about this, and she offered to let my brother and I stay with her while we were in university, completely free of charge. I am really grateful for this and we are planning on accepting her offer. I told my parents about this and they freaked out. I guess my mom was planning to move to part-time work and they needed rent from my brother and I to keep up with rent. They said that they have provided for us our whole lives and we should pay them back now that we are almost adults. I mean, it is true, they have given us everything we needed for 18 years and I really don't want them to be homeless if they cannot afford the rent, but I don't know how I would even afford to live with them. Am I the a-hole here? Edit, my brother and I both have some savings so we could conceivably pay rent for a few months. I also feel guilty moving in with my sister because she has 3 little kids and a cat to take care of and I don't want to put any extra strain on her. None of my siblings have a great relationship with our parents, so my parents won't ask them for help. And guys, I will redirect this question to you. In this case, is OP the a-hole or not? And a user in the comments said, not the a-hole, your parents are completely in the wrong. They have 6 children, 4 of whom are actual adults, and their life plan is relying on 2, not even 18 years old financially. That makes no sense. You do not owe your parents anything, to be quite honest. Whether or not you were an accident, you are their child, and in that regard they owe you. You do not owe them by virtue of them having birthed you. If they need financial assistance, they should go to their adult children. Don't worry about getting a job, worry about your education and your emotional well-being. Go and live with your sister and let your parents figure their own lives out. That is not your responsibility. And guys, you know, interestingly enough, here in Thailand, this is completely different. The person in the comments said that you do not owe your parents by virtue of them essentially birthing you. However, this is seen much differently here in Thailand, as far as I can tell. Here, the kids essentially always owe their parents, even if the parents are a-holes and don't do anything good. And guys, I probably don't have to tell you that for me this is sort of nonsense if you ask me, but I would love to hear your opinion about this in the comments. And the next one is an update to the Making My Parents Homeless story. Hey folks, it's been like 3 weeks and many things have happened. I graduated high school, go me, I turned 18 and I moved out. I finally feel like I am adulting, kind of. I moved in with my sister the day after my birthday and I've been living with her for a bit over 2 weeks. It's been really weird. They do all of this stuff in her house that we never did as kids. Family dinners every night? Never done it once until now. My sister and her fiancé carve out blocks of time to spend with the kids and my parents never did that. My oldest nephew, he's 10, dropped an open can of pineapple in the kitchen a few days ago. I expected him to get yelled at, but my sister just helped him clean it up and told him to grab a new can from the pantry. That was weird, my parents were never that chill. When I was a kid, I would see these perfect families on TV, shout out to Dinosaur Train, and my parents always told me that those kinds of parents didn't exist. That it was all made up for TV, that real parents don't take that much of an interest in their kids' lives and interests. I believed them until now. In the past few weeks, I've seen my sister and her fiancé spend hours making model planes with my oldest nephew or rocking the youngest to sleep when she was overtired. That stuff never happened when I was a kid. My niece, she's 4, woke up in the middle of the night last week crying about something. Instead of telling her to STFU and go to bed, my sister's fiancé got up and sat with her until she fell asleep. I guess I was just surprised that my experiences are not the norm. Anyway, both my brother and I are doing really well here. My brother has been cooking a lot, he's going to culinary school, and everyone seems to really appreciate it. I've been spending time with my nieces and nephew, and I have played more Minecraft these past 2 weeks than I think I have played in my entire life. By the way, if anyone knows what Titanfall 2 is, please help me out. I've been an adult for less than a month, and these children and their newfangled video games already confuse me. This is all just a very long-winded way to say thanks. If I hadn't posted here, I don't think I would have moved out. My savings would basically be drained and I wouldn't be as happy as I am now. So, thank you. Now I guess it's time to see if I can figure out how to do an update post. Edit, shout out to my sister for basically raising me for 12 years and also being an amazing parent. I could just go and say all this to her face, but there's so many stairs in this house and I am lazy. And the next one is titled, Am I the jerk for not allowing my friend to bring her service animal, guide dog, to my wedding? I, 28 female, will be getting married in September. I have a blind friend who mostly relies on her guide dog. The dog obviously has access rights to all places. Now, I am in a sticky situation and I can sense that I will be the a-hole. I have 3 chronic illnesses that I take 23 pills a day for, severe asthma and you guessed it, an extreme severe dog allergy. Usually when I meet with my friend we meet in the open and I take 2 allergy pills. However, because of all the other medication I take, these pills make me extremely drowsy to the point where I am officially not allowed to drive and I usually crash as soon as I get home from our get-togethers. Our wedding will be very intimate. In other words, we will be in relatively small rooms, and I feel horrible about this, but I don't think I can let my friend bring her dog. It just wouldn't work. I talked about it with my fiance and some other friends. Finally, I talked to my friend about it, explained the situation and said I would love her to come, but she cannot bring her dog. I said that 4 of our mutual friends had offered to be on a roster and assist her should she need it. Alternatively, if she's not comfortable with this, she could bring a person of her choosing to the wedding, or I would pay for a professional aid for the day. I think it is important to note that her dog is not for any additional issues like seizures or anything like that. Unfortunately, she was less than happy with my suggestions. She accused me of being ableist and thinking her disability can be switched off for the day. I understand what I asked was a lot and it is a difficult topic. I told her to tell me if she changes her mind and I would be happy to make arrangements, but I won't budge. And guys, please let us know what you think in the comments. Is OP the a-hole for not allowing her friend to bring the service dog to the wedding? And a user in the comments said, not an a-hole. I was so ready to label you an a-hole after reading the title, but I think you have extenuating circumstances for not wanting a service dog or any dog at your wedding. I can also understand why your friend would be upset. This probably is not the first time someone has tried to stop her from bringing her service dog somewhere. And another person said, I feel the same way. OP may have to just accept the fact that their friend won't attend without their dog and so won't be able to attend the wedding. And guys, I gotta say, indeed, even though these are sad circumstances, it won't kill you to not attend a wedding. Sure, you might miss some nice moments, however, this is not that important if you ask me. Health always goes first, especially in an important moment like this. And the next one is an update to the service dog story. Some of you may remember my post. Well, since I have gotten married. We decided to get married sooner than we planned because the situation was good where we live and we didn't want to risk having to cancel if numbers spike. Before I took your advice and called my friend, I explained how severe my allergies are once again and told her how I really want to be able to enjoy my wedding day. I apologized for making suggestions and not simply asking her and said she is welcome to bring up any ideas that would help her being able to attend. She told me she still wanted to, that do not include her dog. She was adamant that it was her dog or nothing. While disappointed, I was prepared for that and told her that would not be possible and that she will be missed at the wedding. We sent out the new invitations with the new date and simply didn't invite her, so technically she was not uninvited. Some of our mutual friends that are in the wedding told me that she had asked them not to attend in solidarity, but luckily they all thought that was ridiculous. We had a beautiful wedding and spent our honeymoon in the Flinders Ranges, which I can only recommend. As for my friend, I am open to reconciliation, but she will have to make the first step. So that's it. While it didn't go as I hoped it would, I am still in a happy place now, enjoying my life as a married woman. Wait guys, so I got that correctly. She, the person with the service dog, asked her mutual friends to not attend the wedding in solidarity? Excuse me, but I think that makes the service dog person the a-hole in this story. Either way, I think that was a smart way to diffuse, or rather to solve the situation, and I wish OP the best. And the last one is titled, Am I the a-hole for blocking my adopted daughter's birth mother? I have an adopted daughter, let's call her Mimi. She is 11 now and I adopted her when she was 7. She was a foster placement with me and my husband at the time since she was 5. My ex-husband and I have joined 50-50 custody of her. She has a wonderful stepmother and me and her father typically co-parent very amicably. Mimi's birth mother, Kelsey, fake name, lives nearby but has spent nearly all of Mimi's life strung out to the point of total incoherency. When we first adopted Mimi, we were very supportive of Kelsey, having supervised visitation, and we made an effort to invite her to all of Mimi's big events, as Mimi very much loved her birth mother and wanted Kelsey in her life. Kelsey has proven time and time again that she either doesn't care enough about Mimi to show up, devastating my daughter, or will show up high and become belligerent or pass out, which is traumatic for Mimi to witness. 2 years ago, Kelsey disappeared, Mimi slowly stopped asking about her, and it felt like our lives could move on. Last week we were contacted by Kelsey's current boyfriend, who told us Kelsey wanted to visit with Mimi. I told her I would only allow it if Kelsey contacted me personally and we could set up an official supervised visitation schedule through Mimi's caseworker. Kelsey messaged me on Facebook to call me a controlling person who stole her daughter, told me I am a racist piece of Mimi is not the same race as I am, and that I am depriving Mimi of knowing about her racial roots. Not true. I blocked her and told my ex to block her as well and not entertain her. My ex is saying that I am an a-hole for writing Kelsey off and that I am depriving Mimi of a link to her ethnicity and her birth family. I view it as protecting Mimi from an unstable woman. I have not told Mimi and my ex wouldn't involve Mimi, she's too young. But am I the jerk for what I did? So guys, I would redirect this to you. Do you think OP is the a-hole in this case? Let us know in the comments. And a person in the comments said the following. You don't need this subreddit, you need a family therapist who specializes in foster care/adoption. This is extremely complicated and you need and deserve professional support. My instinct is that you have made the right call for now, but should leave the window open for Kelsey to get back in touch later on if she can demonstrate that she's in a better place. And the last one is an update to the adopted daughter's birth mother story. I want to thank everyone who commented on the original post to give me advice. I was feeling unsure of myself after my ex sided with Kelsey, as when we were married he was always the more level-headed partner and I could let emotions get the best of me. I got a lot of reassurance that I was doing the right thing, but a lot of people also said I should not block Kelsey out forever, and if she really was taking steps to be better for Mimi, that I should allow her supervised visits. I fully agreed with that and had been planning to unblock Kelsey and FaceTime with her, hoping I could better discuss my response before and we could hopefully talk face to face over FaceTime, not in person. Important note, I am not a woman, I am a man. I did not mention it before because it literally didn't matter, but it will matter, so I thought I would make that clear. My ex and I are both bisexual cis men. I am not currently dating anyone, man or woman. So Kelsey did end up contacting my ex. He texted with her because he was against blocking her out. She was incredibly kind to him in their messages and seemed very level-headed and genuinely reformed from her old ways, but after asking my ex if we could work out a schedule where she had supervised visits and then one day could have unsupervised visits, she dropped a bomb that exploded her chances of ever being able to see Mimi again. She told my ex that I was let's just say a very bad insult for gay people to my ex-husband. Said she preferred talking and dealing with him because he divorced me and married a woman. My ex-husband may be thick-headed, but he's not an a-hole, so he blocked her then. We met up that day so he could show me the screenshots and discuss our moves going forward, and we are unanimous. We won't allow our daughter, who loves having two dads and a stepmom, to be around a homophobic person. So that is that. I also privately brought the issue up with our family therapist and she helped me address the issue and my reasons with Mimi in our session that week. Mimi was disappointed to hear what had happened, but not surprised. My heart breaks for my daughter. I wish none of this had happened, but I am astounded by her maturity and resilience. She is such a strong young lady. We are also looking into revising our custody schedule so that Mimi can spend an extra weekend at her father's a month, as she was interested in expanding the time she spent with her stepmother, who is the same race as Mimi. Thank you again for taking the time to give me advice, and well, I guess in the end it did not matter. She made the choice easier by dropping a slur and showing her true colors. What can you do?